Okay, this is an installation video of how to put the Billboarder banner framing system on. Basically, the first thing we're going to do is make sure before we put any corking on the back, as the instructions said, this video assumes that you have read the instructions, and this augments the instructions and helps you understand it even better because you'll be able to see what happens. This is a small miniature layout of what a box truck would look like, or even a wall frame. And we're going to, first thing we're going to do is tape all the frames, all the base plate framing in place so we can see that our measurements are correct before we screw anything in and before we put any duct tape, before we put any corking on the back. If you did put the corking on the back and you had to change it, of course, that would be a little messy. You could always wipe it off with a cloth, but we don't want to do that. So we're going to put the framing on first, without any corking, to see if it fits. And all you have to do is put your duct tape into the designing area and past the designing area, just so it holds it all together and you can see it all in one place. Then, once it is all in one place, we're going to take it down, cork it, and then retape it back in place so that we could then screw it to the frame. And that's the point we're at now. Julius is going to come in with his electric drill and screw the screws in so you can see how they're screwed in. Each screw. Julius, how far do you put the screws apart? It says 12 inches in the instructions, so let's make it every 12 inches. Now these are self-tapping screws, so you don't have to drill a hole first. Each self-tapping screw has a little drill bit designed into and the tip of the screw. Okay, all the screws are in now. Julius had put all the screws in, and now Julius is going to put the rubbers on. Now, you'll notice that he puts it over every screw, and the screw and the rubber together are designed that the rubber will pop out a little bit. You'll see as he's doing this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do then, now that all the screws are in, is remove all the duct tape. I'll help on this and get that side. Put the rubber right over the screw. And again, this will make the rubber pop out a little bit. Go ahead, Julius. Now it's sometimes a little hard to push it in. You just have to use a little force. And also, there's a shiny side, Julius, you can tell us, there's a shiny side that sticks out. Which is the shiny side? This is shiny side sticks out. So you'll see there's dull side, dull sides are the sides, and the shiny sides are the side that sticks out. One of the shiny sides needs to be sticking out. Okay, and now he's going to put in all the rest of the rubbers. All right, we have all the compression rubbers put in, and now it's time to bring the banner over. Now, if you have a helper, it also would help if it's a real large banner to have somebody bring it over with you. But thousands of installations have been done with just one person. Well, now we have, or I should say Julius has, installed all the rubbers, and each rubber is popped out because the screw is underneath it, and it's ready to receive the banner. Now, Julius is going to bring the banner over, and I'm going to take this off of here first of all. And you'll notice that we've already measured a center mark, and there's a center mark on the banner. That's already printed on the banner, and he's put two tape tabs, duct tape tabs, on either side so he can see the center mark. Now we know that it's in the center. Also note that it's only the top part of the banner that's cut. Everything else will automatically be cut because part of the patent is the automatic cutting groove that'll give you the automatic size. But the first thing we're going to do is, now that we have it in place, is to make sure it's level. Make sure it's level, and you can do that by making sure that this is along the cutting groove. See, there's the cutting groove. And he's going to tape the whole banner.
Let's start with the cutting groove. See the cutting groove here?
Now, if there's a little white space out here, you don't have to worry about that, because that's all going to get covered by the capping plate. What we are going to do is, you should also make these tabs big enough so that you could, a little bigger than this, so that you can grab them and pull on them, because these are called pull tabs, and that's just what they are. Once we got it cut, the whole idea is to stretch this as tight as possible, sort of like a bed sheet, but tighter, as tight as you possibly can make them. But we don't have to worry about tight now. We're just going to do the cutting and put the tape on. Of course, we wouldn't leave anything like this, but we're going to fix all that once we get the cut. But you should undo this and make this right before, otherwise your cut could be off. The automatic cutting groove assures that it's going to be the right size, because the banner is given oversize so that it can be cut down to the perfect size by the cutting groove. Okay, now Julius has cut with the cutting groove. He's cut it so it's a perfect match to the frame. We have the center lined up to the center. We're parallel or level along the cutting groove, which will make the whole sign be automatically level. And now the only thing is, it's kind of floppy. So we don't. That's what the pull tabs are for. I would have made these pull tabs just a little bit longer so that you can grab them more easily. But Julius is going to tighten them up right now. So start showing us how you tighten everything up. In the instructions it says to put these pull tabs about 12 inches apart. This is not rocket science. If you can put them 11 inches apart, this whole thing's not going to fail. You know, you just follow the instructions as close as possible. But one of the most important points is to pull this as tight as possible. If you find slop in there, don't just leave it and say that's it. You've got to tighten it up. Because if you don't tighten it up, you'll not get a good, tight installment. You don't want any waves in here. So once he's got the whole thing done, Julius is gonna look at it as if he doesn't have it all done. What could he possibly fix? What could he possibly pull? Which tab can he pull to make it tighter? That's good. He's going into the corner and pulling it up in the corner. Now also, on some of the trucks, or a lot of the trucks, over by the cab, if this was the cab side where the driver would sit, there is probably a rounded corner where we can't get this up into the corner. And if that's the case, then the framing system would have been shipped out with this side and this side a little shorter, and a 45-degree piece goes right in here. And of course, before you screwed it in, you would put that 45 piece in there, and it would look more like this, and then you would do the pull tabs. Again, this is very simple. Is that about as tight as you can get everything? I think so. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to trim the pull tabs away. Make sure the pull tabs are attached to this taping. This is called the taping plane. All this, make sure it's attached, because we're going to lose this part of the pull tab. We have to lose this part of the pull tab, otherwise we'd never be able to get the cap on. Okay, so now Julius is going to trim a few of these. He's actually going to trim them all. And he's going to go around. He's going to go around the whole frame. He's going to go around the whole frame and trim the tapes away from the body of the truck. Okay, now Julius has trimmed all of the pull tabs off. And of course, none of these pull tabs are going to show in because the capping plate is going to cover all of the pull tabs. That's one reason you can't have a pull tab that comes in more than 3 inches. If it comes in 4 inches, it'll show. So none of these are more than 3 inches. So they're all going to get covered. So Julius put the first top capping plate on. You see the base plate has always got the wing, the wing part where you can clip over. You can tell which side goes out on the base plate because the cutting groove is on the outside. Well, there's the first one, and now we'll put on the others, and we'll be right back as soon as he's got all the others clipped on. Okay. In the shipment, you have received 2 different screws. Both of them are self-tapping, meaning you don't have to drill any holes. Well, the first one that you used for the base plate was the longer ones. Now we're going to use the shorter ones, and it's a good idea to start up in the corner, and there's also a screw groove, so you know where to put the screw. And that's the screw groove right along here. Julius is going to start in the corner, and he's going to try to match this up as close as possible. Self-tapping screw. And by bringing this down, this makes the banner travel back in, which takes up more room, which is going to tighten this up even further than the tightness that we did. And again, the duct tape is not going to be what holds the banner. It's going to be the compression of the capping plate up against the banner, up against the compression roller. Continue. Don't you want to do the corner?
Into the corner.
Okay. Okay, it's all done. He's screwed down all the capping plate. The capping plate itself has made the banner get tighter because it has to take a longer road, and it's only the same amount of material, so it cinches up the material as the capping plate goes down. And that's the end of the installation. Pretty simple. Okay, you've seen the entire frame put together, but there is one important note that I did want to tell you about, and that's when you're putting the base plate on, and I got an extra piece here to show you. There's a wrong way and a right way to put your hands. Always the wing is on the outside. The wing has a little space in it, so when the capping plate comes on, it could cover it, as you've seen prior in this video. However, you do not want to put, with the wing on the outside, you never want to put your hand on the outside and then put the screws in, because you are compressing the wing up against the wall of the truck, or the wall of the wall. So we don't want to do it that way. What we want to do is put our hand this way, and only by pressing on the interior of the frame, not the exterior where the wing is, but pressing on the interior and then screwing in, where you allow the wing side to be elevated and therefore allow you to get the cap on. I assure you, if you hold it this way and screw it in, you'll have a tough time getting the cap on. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that the wing is up and this holds everything flat up against the wall and in the correct position before we put the screws in, handheld on the interior. So if you went here, 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 you're correct. If you held the base plate here, here, these are the capping plates. You don't want to hold it here. That's very important. Please remember that. Thank you so much.